Hi everyone, it's Maria Burke here with another 321 Focus Together interview, and our guest today is Siobhan McCarthy. Siobhan, it's great to have you here. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Maria. Yeah, it's great to do this with you. I'm a huge fan of yours and have been for years. I've been living in Mullingar for 19 years, and I suppose, like a lot of people here, I've always felt there's something more going on in my life and couldn't quite put my finger on it. Been through plenty of trials, tribulations, went through a lot of stuff, and then, pieces were starting to fall into place, and I found myself on a very nice path, and I'm very happy to be still on it now. So it's a great place to be.
Okay, lovely, lovely. And it's funny here because I have to introduce this guy, right? So the last day we got to talk, right, because you know me very well, and you know I'm a
Yeah,
big thing about flamingos. So we got to
yeah.
talk the other day when you landed on my doorstep with this guy. I'm calling him Mr. Flamingo, my perfect man, right? So you arrived with him for my birthday. So he's my new mascot. So I'm really, really grateful. And what I love, because you had no idea I was going to introduce him, he matches your top perfectly, right? So we're in that nice alignment, so we are together.
Synchronicity.
Absolutely, synchronicity is right. And I just love Mr. Flamingo. So thank you so much for him, right?
More
So
than welcome.
yeah. So do you want to tell us about your whole 321 focus journey?
Perfect. Yeah, I know that in 2018, you were talking to me about it, and it sounded amazing, all this kind of stuff. And I said, oh, I'd really, really love to do it. And when you sent me the invitation, it was early 2019, to do it, and the link and all that kind of stuff. I went on to it, but I prevented myself, I think, from continuing on because I wasn't in the right headspace. But then when you said to me, well, do you want to try it again? I said yes. And it was like my ego was battling with me, and I think it was. But anyway, I went ahead and I did it, and I am so glad I did. And I realized I should have done it when I wasn't in the headspace, because it was the perfect antidote for the place I was in at the time. It put perspective on things for me. It was just incredible. The feeling I got, it was like, I love your practicality, and your honesty with it, and everything just fell into place, and realizations were coming to me. And the biggest realization I got from it, Maria, was that how hard we are on ourselves, and how hard I was on myself, and the pressure you put on yourself over the ridiculous things, and it was just an eye opener for me about what I was doing to me, in the wrong things to me. And the fact that, when I was journaling and doing your daily meditations and stuff like that, it was all like, ooh, it was like just what the doctor ordered, the sense of calm, but the sense of, you can do this. You're just so hard on yourself. And like, look, when you read back, the reflections were the biggest thing for me, because when you read back and you go, yeah, that makes sense, or not that you would call yourself an idiot, but you can't help but do that when you look back and go, it was so simple, the solution.
Yeah.
And your course, that's what it did for me. It helped me find solutions, but it also, I got a job and I attuned that to your course, because I was doing your course at the time. And I had applied for, I was unemployed for 2 years. I'd applied for hundreds of jobs, had only 2 interviews, was really losing the battle with my self-confidence. And as you know, like, I do have a few qualifications behind me. But when I got that job, it was the catalyst, and I continued with your course, and it just says, yeah, you deserve this. You fought for this and you got it.
Good.
So
Yeah, that's fabulous. And I'm so thrilled for you that you are where you are now. But I think, listening to what you're saying, it's like it's not until, we can all be telling each other not to be hard on ourselves.
yeah,
Until the penny drops for us to tell ourselves not to be so hard
yes,
on ourselves, it doesn't really work, does it? And even as I was saying to you before we started, like, I ended up in a big panic yesterday and again this morning. And again, that whole piece that you're talking about needlessly putting myself under the most ridiculous pressure. And it's definitely a kind of an addiction that I'm clearing out. But like when there's no need for it, like we just do that. It's like learned behavior, and it does take a lot. But the solution is very simple in the end. But it really is. We have to get it for ourselves.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And the biggest thing I found is breathing. Is to take a deep breath, because it just resets you in a way that you know, it makes everything is easier to bear with, if you know what I mean. If you're going through a particularly difficult time, just breathing and taking deep breaths, and you just go, right. You know, and it's something as simple as that. And I also know then a few times when I was there kind of going, you know, this job, and I have to do so much training and all this kind of stuff, and it'll be like starting school again, and you know, you get into your mind too much. It's how to get out of that. And that's what 321 did for me, because I was journaling so much, and then reflecting back then in the evening time and stuff like that, and saying, Siobhan, you know, stop panicking. It's fine. It's going to be grand. And a lot of the time, actually, I hear you. Do you know what I mean? You're in my head. As you
in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah, but it's such a great way to be, because like I always know that, like, you're a very good friend of mine, right? But I always know when I listen to your voice, it's like Maria has the solution here, because you're so good, you know, especially, you know, with your numerology as well and everything like that. You're on the point, and they're going, oh my God. And sometimes I go, why didn't I think of that, you know? But it's just, that's why we're friends, because we can bounce off each other. But I just think with the 321, and you know, even my kind of magic, just make your cards like are just fabulous. And I'm there, and I have them. I have a little altar upstairs, and I have all the ones I've picked from being in Dee's shop, and they're there. And it's amazing the way they just turn up at the right moment, you know. And it's simple things that put it together. It's not complicated, and it's not rocket science, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And do you know what's really interesting though, Siobhan, hearing you say that, because like, and about all that's going on in your head, because anybody meeting you, like, you so have it together. Like when I meet you, you always seem to have it together. You know what I mean? Like you just have that confidence about you. Like you know what you're at, you know what you're about. But like this is the thing, I think a lot of people think that everybody else has it worked out, but we don't. Do you know?
No,
And you probably think sometimes, oh, Maria has it all worked out. When you say to me, Maria has the solution, that terrifies me, right? Because I don't always have the solutions. Do you know what I mean? But I do know that if we write the questions, the answers will come in, or if we write the affirmations, the information will come in. And sometimes it's good as well, like, you know, if somebody comes to you like a friend with a situation, somebody else can sit, like I can sit for somebody and help them work it out, because but when it's me, I could be too panicked or whatever for myself. So it's good to have that support from friends as well. But I think it's really so important for people to realize that even those people like you who always look like you've got it all worked out and you've got it all together, you don't always feel like that on the inside.
Oh God, no. And like at least once or twice a week. Whereas before, I honestly can say, like, I was out there, like yourself, Maria, the best actress that you could find on the planet. I should have a room full of Oscars, right?
Maybe this is Oscar the Flamingo.
Oh, good one. But I think that's a self-preservation mode as well. Is sometimes what I came to realize is that, especially to close people, you have to tell the truth, because they do know that there's something deep down, there's something going on, and sometimes people are too polite to ask. But what I realize is never be too proud to actually speak your truth and be true to yourself, because there's someone out there who can, like yourself, or like Dee, or like my friend Maureen, or whatever, who turn around and one sentence can just wipe the whole thing clean, and you're there going, what in God's name was I panicking for? And you know, it sounds, I know it's easy for me to say because I'm at the other end, but prior to this, like, I could be walking around the town, look like $1 million or whatever, life is tickety boo, and I wasn't. But I had to maintain that, I think, at the time for myself, because I had to, for my own inner strength. But if I have a bad day now, I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah. And I think, you raise a really important point. It's about having those good friends around us who
Yeah,
remind us who we are and what our potential is, and
yeah,
remind us of what our dreams are, and that they believe in our dreams on the bad days when we can't do
yeah,
it for ourselves.
yes,
I think also what's coming into my head is, because I know as well when I'm having bad days, I'd never really let anybody know.
yeah,
And part of that is to keep myself safe, because I also know, and I'm sure you know as well, there are people around us that aren't really truly our friends.
yeah,
And if they got the wind of the word of it, they'd be in with the dagger and the knife. And I know myself as well how important it is to kind of hold our vibration high, because even on those days when we don't feel brilliant, just by even faking it a bit, it brings us up
yeah,
a little bit, so we
yeah.
don't attract as much crap as we might otherwise. So, but it's such a fine line, isn't it? Like between like faking it all the time and being afraid to be real, and then
Mhm.
knowing who it's safe to be real with. Like it's just
Oh, definitely. And I like this week, you know the way you were saying about energy and all this kind of stuff. Like from last Friday, I was there going, "What the hell is going on here?" And there was stuff coming up that I was there going, "I thought you buried that," that kind of thing. And all I was there kind of going, "Yeah, focus or whatever, and write down how you're feeling and all this kind of stuff." But also, I realized, like, I'm very sensitive to other people's energies, and I'm very sensitive to the planet's energies and all this kind of stuff. Sure, there's a full super moon, the last one of the year, and the moon always has a huge effect on me. I only realized, I suppose, in the last 3 to 4 years how strong an effect it did have on me. But then when I look at the energies and what's going on, obviously, it all makes perfect sense. And all I had to do was go with the flow, not fight it. And I think that's another thing, is if you're feeling crap, you're feeling crap, and if you want to go into the TV room and binge watch TV, do it. Whatever makes you feel better. Whatever, do whatever makes you feel good for yourself. Don't do what makes you feel bad for yourself. And that is the fine line.
Yeah, and also not judging ourselves. And it's really funny because I had that thing yesterday as well. I was in great form yesterday morning, and then come lunchtime, there was just exhaustion and then panic and frustration. And then I got really angry, and like I don't really do anger. And I could hear my son Niall in my head going, stop, like when he was really small, he used to say to me, "Stop pretending to be cross, Mum. We know you don't do cross, you don't do angry. And I could hear him, and I was thinking, if you could see me now, like I really thought I wanted to, like, throw glasses against the wall, like. And then, of course, I realized about the moon, and then I also realized, we have a lot of planets in retrograde. So because the planets are in retrograde, it's like all the old stuff is coming up, and I thought, yeah, this anger is like really, it's way back. It's like childhood stuff. It's like unresolved. And then I thought, okay, right now I understand what it is. But just once you get the relief of that, kind of
Yes.
take the layer off, and
Yeah.
straight away I felt a little bit better. But yeah, and I think as well what you're saying about the sensitivity to the moon. And I know when I used to talk about it years ago, people would be laughing at me, and laughing at me about it. But if you think about it, the tides are completely controlled by the moon,
Yeah.
and our bodies are made up of, what is it, 70% water? Yeah. So like it makes perfect sense that we're affected by the moon and planets and.
Of course. And then where did the word lunatic come from? Things like that. And it does. Like, I mean, a lot of people might think it's all airy fairy, moojoo woojoo stuff. But, if you look at the bigger picture, it all does make sense, and everything slots into place. And like, I mean, look at what Mother Nature, how she's recovering through this crisis, and you can look at a mother like that, how our mothers coping through this crisis with having children at home, or just even being at home by themselves, is that you look at the beauty, I suppose, overall, and that's what gives you the peace and the strength to go on, is because, like, there's so many wonderful things going on. You don't look at the negative as much. I mean, you're exposed to it every day, but it's your choice. You can turn off the television, you can turn off the radio, and you don't have to listen to it. and you're not meeting as many people as you would have before. So your energy is somewhat protected as well. So, you know, we're all, while it's horrible, we're all gaining huge benefits from this.
Yeah, and I think there are huge benefits, and I'm sure you're finding that as well because you don't have your commute at the moment. Sure, you don't to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how are you finding that?
It's tough, kind of every day. Like, I mean, it's a routine. I start work at 8:15 and I finish at 4:45. And the funny thing is that I'm actually working in a job that I was doing. I had something like 21 weeks of training to do for this job. But the training I was given has nothing to do with what I'm doing with my job. So I have actually started in one section and now I've been transferred to another unit because they wanted me to help them with it. So I have a whole new project now. But the one thing I find, because it's brain absorbing, I'm wrecked. Absolutely wrecked at the end of the day because I'm obviously learning things, and like I have to use maybe 10 different apps with the investigations I do. So I'm always learning how to do them because I don't have someone beside me. I'm not in the office. But having said that, it's kind of nice not doing the commute. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not that far either. But at the same time, like, yeah, it's weird, really weird.
Right. And like the thing about it is, you were just stepping in after doing the training. You were just only stepping into a new routine when the whole thing was disrupted. So like you've had a lot of disruption since, like, say, even since November to now. Like, how many times has your routine changed? Like 5 or 6 times in that period.
Oh God, easily, yeah. And like I was only 11 days actually physically in work, and I was only really getting to know people and all that kind of stuff. And while it was nerve wracking at the time, I I suppose I was thriving as well in the fact that, hey, I have a job and I am blessed I got that job because I'm actually being paid to work at home and I'm not on a COVID-19 payment or anything like that. But the universe looked after me. I got my job and I got my car from a friend of mine, Fabio, my Italian stallion. And things are looking up. And the way I look at it, okay, I have to work from home, but I have a job, you know. And the thing to do though is, because I don't have an office chair and I'm working from a dining room table and all that kind of stuff, I get up and I take plenty of breaks along the way because the week before last I put my shoulder out, and I reckon it was kind of tension building up from working at the computer and maybe the fact that I was being transferred to a different unit and all that kind of stuff. So there was emotion as well as physical. So you have to take lots of breaks and look after yourself and drink lots of water.
Yeah, actually, that's true as well. I really noticed in the last few days I've been very dehydrated, and it doesn't normally happen to me. Interestingly, when I got into that emotional state last night, once I drank some nice herbal tea, it actually started clearing it straight away. So amazing to find that, because that's never really happened so quickly before. So yeah, really good point about being hydrated. So going quickly back to 3-2-1 focus, right? What is, like, are there pieces you're still doing, and like what was your favorite bit?
I think the favorite bit with me was when you would say, like, you know, okay, your daily tasks or whatever, and you put down. But to me was looking back on the build up from day 1 or day 30. You know what I mean?
30, yeah.
Okay. And looking back, and the diary definitely, I think, and the journal is the biggest thing. And what I loved doing as well, because I always remember when I first met you and you were saying, you know, when we were talking about good and bad or whatever, and you always said, burn the bad things, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And so I actually, if I was going through stuff, when I was doing my journal with your thing, I actually put the bad things at the back and then I ripped them out and I burnt them. And you know, you feel your relief then, and you feel your relief when you write down the bad, but you feel your relief when you burn them. But it was looking back at the progress I made with the 3-2-1 focus, and how even a sentence, the way you would write it, you know, and you're all, oh, today I am, you know, the most amazing person in the planet and all the rest. And you'd be writing it down, and you have the notion in your head that you are, but then by the end of it, you are. And that's what I love. And it's the affirmations and the reflection reflection is so huge. And that's what I learned from yours, and that's what I really, really loved about it. Plus, meditation, it's a huge, important part of my life, as you know. And any meditation that anyone does, and I love yours because it's very relaxing, it's not complicated, it just gives you your little bit of peace for the day, and you know, it gives you a chance to breathe.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. Right. So, does anybody listening to this now, right? And because 31 is going to start again on the 21st of May. And there's going to be the two versions as well. There's going to be the version with the where you sign up and you get your email for the €33 admin fee, and then there's going to be a free version as well through a Facebook group. And I'm just working all the mechanics of that out at the moment. But if anybody's listening now and they're kind of iffy, what would your advice be to them, or do you have any words of wisdom for them about it?
Well, like I said, I mean, I was to do it before, and I just felt I wasn't right in the right headspace. And that, to me, was definitely egos there kind of going, this is going to get you out of a pickle here, you know, and fight it as hard as you can, but do it, because it really, really did. I mean, I'm so grateful to you, Maria, because it really did turn my life around. Because, like I said, with the way you step everything, but your whole practicality and your intuition, it just slotted everything into place. And it just reaffirms, yeah, you're grand, you know, and you're brilliant and you're doing wonderful things. And don't be hard on yourself. And to anyone out there who's been iffy, I totally recommend doing it. And like, you're always there saying, don't put pressure on yourself. And if you didn't get to do this today, do it tomorrow. And that's what it is. It's not, you're not forcing people to do things. You're guiding them, and it's their choice. So it's not as if you're going, I have to sign up to this and I have to do this and I have to do that. Because if you start off like that, you're not going to do it. If you go in and you listen and your daily guidance and stuff like that, it all falls into place. It might be a bit difficult at the start if you're not used to doing things like this, but just go for it.
Yeah, and it is. The thing about it is that like when I started it the first time, I literally knew 3, 2, and 1 were the 3 daily elements. I only knew that from the day before. I'd been given the name weeks beforehand, and gradually the whole thing evolved. So I mean, like even me when I started doing it, I didn't know what was going to happen over the 30 days. You know, so it's like it's very much I channeled it in, and but it's very simple once you get started, isn't it? And then it's very profound.
But it is very simple, like it is, and it's such an eye opener. And it's not like, you know, the way fear is obviously the biggest thing in all our lives, and everyone's afraid to take that step. But they have to realize, like, if you take that step, you're not going to break, you know, and you realize, oh my God, I was afraid of what? And that is a huge realization. It's not a thing where you're actually knocking yourself because you were so afraid. It is the relief of realizing, oh my God, I took that step and it wasn't scary, you know.
Nobody died. Nobody died.
Yeah, nobody died. Nobody was hurt in the process. No animals were harmed or anything like that. And it's just the simplicity of it, and that people need to just not put pressure on themselves, but to do it and enjoy it. It's not like you're there going, oh, I have to do Excel for work or anything like that. This is for you, you know, and it's something for people to do for themselves, and it's so rewarding, you know.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, I've done it 10 times at this stage, and every time I've done it again, there's always been, every time there's another layer of stuff that comes up.
Yeah.
Which is great, And the other side as well, when you talk about fears, is like, what I've learned now is when I get a fear, I work with it straight away, because for as long as you hold it there, it's going to hold you back. So the sooner you get them by the scruff of the neck and have a chat with them. And a lot of them are like things you're afraid of since you were in school or something, do you know? And they're not real anymore. Like there's nothing to be afraid of, but you just need to realize, shine the torch on it, and then just say, do you know what? I don't need to be afraid of that anymore, because now I'm big enough to stand up for myself or whatever it is. So
that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people, you might meet a couple and they, oh, I haven't spoken to that person for years. And I said, why'd you fall out? Don't know. You know, and were you close? Yeah. Well, I said, if you can't remember why you fell out, it must have been something quite small. And would you not, do you miss that person? Yeah, I do. Well, I said, would you not reach out? Be the bigger person yourself, go back, and you can have a good laugh as to why you fell out. You know, and it's like you said, it's learned behavior too. Things that you were, I suppose, slotted into in your little institutionalized school or whatever like that to do, and it's still there because you haven't worked it out of your system. And
Yeah.
then once you realize what it is, it's gone.
Yeah, which is absolutely fabulous. Yeah, yeah, absolutely fabulous. Right. Have you any more words of wisdom for us before we wrap this up? Is there any insights you want to share? Because I know you're always like clued in and tuned in and channeling in stuff as well. Is there anything you're getting to share with us as we wrap this up?
I think, yeah, the biggest thing is just be, right, and learn to breathe and learn to go with the flow. If you're angry, you're angry, you know, but look at why you're angry, or is it just something stupid that you, stupid is the wrong word, sorry, is it just something that's blown out of proportion? And realize, like, there's so many things going on that not everything is worth getting worked up with, you know, and just go, sure, look, no one died, but milk didn't spill on the floor, you know, just breathe and be and enjoy the sunshine, and, you know, just be safe, and just let, don't be thinking, like, I know an awful lot of people that are, oh my God, here we go, like there's all these different dates that we've been given to for things to come back to normal. Nothing's ever going to be normal again, but we just have to go with it, right? We have to see the beauty in it, the realization, okay, lots of people have lost their jobs, but there's a reason for everything. And I think the best thing that people have to realize is you have to look after your own community. You have to look after your own country. You just have to give back to all the people that gave back to you and support each other. And that's the biggest thing, is the community spirit.
That's lovely. That's a gorgeous note to end on. So, community spirit, yeah, absolutely, and it is so 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 important. And so often there are people who are doing all the giving in communities, and they're taking a lot for granted, etc. as well. So yeah, right. Listen, it has been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all your insights, and for Oscar the Flamingo. So, Siobhan, thanks a million. Really, really grateful to you for coming on and talking to us today. Thanks a million, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you in another video again soon. Bye.